Hello again, and welcome to this CPD session on how to use QR codes to support teaching and learning. This CPD session is brought to you from the EdTech Demonstrator Consortium based on Hambleton Primary Academy, High Furlong and Ribblesdale. So today, as I've shown here, we are going to be looking at how you can use those QR codes and how you can embed them within the curriculum using them for all of your teaching and learning needs. Just a short overview on myself. My name is Michael Goldie. I'm the Assistant Head and EdTech Lead at Hambleton Primary Academy. We have very much a Google-based platform here with wireless board technology. We run a one-to-one iPad scheme. We use Google Classroom, and we used it throughout the whole of the lockdown period, and we used it quite successfully. We now sort of embrace a hybrid approach to learning where we use both Google Classroom, online learning with more traditional methods of learning as well. So today, why would we use QR codes? Well, there are loads and loads of reasons, but the main ones that I sort of brought out or I could think of were it's easy for students to find links, as simple as that, especially in younger years, where if you don't want them to type it in the long bar in a web browser, the best thing is you give them a QR code, they turn on their camera, click on the link and they go. You can also make flexible types of QR codes which save time. When I mean flexible, I'm talking about you could give them a QR code not just to a website, but it could also be to a PDF or even a PowerPoint. So there are lots of different things that you can use. It also enhances your classroom learning. Everything that you do with these QR codes, they can make it so much better. QR codes can be used for finding research. It could be a non-chronological report. And what it does is it really does enhance classroom learning. They could find out, for example, a piece of research on an animal. Now, just by having a selection of QR codes to find the research, it enables them to have access to that research straight away. You can also make them completely customizable, which I'll talk about a bit later on. And you have the ability to edit and update QR code content later on. So you may have a QR code that goes to a certain website, and later on you can change that same code so you don't have to print it off again and put it for another website, depending on which websites you do use. Okay. The next reason is because it is easy for students to find links. I want to go into that first thing that I talked about before. And the reason is because it simply does take mere seconds to scan a QR code of any smartphone or a tablet, whether it's with a third-party app or you do it directly with a camera, which is why loads of teachers these days, they use them to make digital content, and they're making it more accessible for students. It works really well with links to websites because students can just scan the QR code straight from the camera app and it automatically view the website instead of having to type it in, as I discussed before. You need to consider how long links can be if you need to share a specific article as well. And it can take ages to type in manually. You can make it much easier by sharing the QR code with a projector so students can scan it. And for younger students and students with disabilities, this method especially is a whole lot less frustrating. So I'm just going to do a quick demonstration now about how you can use those QR codes with your class in any day situation. So I'm going to now just bear with me. I'm just going to stop presenting my screen, and I'm now going to share with you just a tab. So bear with me. There we go. So you should see the Google tab up here. Now, let's say, for example, I want my students to research elephants. So I might type in here, elephants, key stage 1 research, just some simple words there to try and really narrow that down. And as you can see, there's lots of things here. You've got child fun, 15 fun and interesting elephant facts for children. Now, as you can see, if you look up the top here, for them to actually type that in would be very arduous. Now, it's really cool that if you look over here, Google Chrome has now built in a QR code enabler. So it goes straight to this website. So if I click here, it creates the code for the website straight away, and you can automatically download it, and it is simply ready for you there just to to either print off, or you can put it in the middle of your board so the kids can scan it as well. Not only that, you can also do it to videos, etc., which I'll talk about later on. There are also a lot of websites that you can use as well. So if you don't have access to Google Chrome, for example, what you can do is you can highlight the website, you copy it, and then the best websites are QR generator. There's QR stuff. If you Google it, there's loads of websites which make them. But if I go to QR stuff just here, and it's the first link that comes up here, and all I simply do is look at all the different types of QR codes you can make here. If I go down and I type in the data type, and then I click on the URL, which is the website, and then I just paste that in. As you can see, this is it. The QR code is there and it's ready to be scanned. And all you need is a phone or a device. You scan that and it comes straight up. So for example, if I get my phone out now and I bring my camera up, you don't need a specific app. You just need a camera on most modern devices now. And if I go to it there, I'll just download the code a bit so it brings it up a bit better. Okay, let's try that again. And then what it does is it's got the picture and then it's brought the website straight up for me. This can work on loads of devices. If it's Android tablets or iPads, the camera built in on most modern devices now will just automatically snap the QR code and take it straight to that website. Okay, so just to go back to the presentation now, bear with me. Okay. Okay, there we go. So there's an idea of how you can use them for that purpose there, just for your quick links and some of the websites that you can use as well. Just moving on from that. Now I'm going to look at some different types. There's some flexible types of QR codes which also save time. So whether you want to use QR codes to share a link, videos, images, PDFs, sound files, loads of different things, it's pretty much possible with a website that I think is the best, called QR Code Generator. It's not only saves you time during class because students view the correct information via the QR code. It's as simple as that. But it also saves time for your prep work because you don't need to print out tons of copies for the same website for every student. This level of flexibility means that no matter which type of content you like to share as a QR code, that works for everything. Now, I have put up here a QR code for you there. This can be tailor-made. You can put different words down the bottom for you. You can make them very bespoke. But by looking at, if you scan that there, what it will do is it will take you actually through to a presentation. And that presentation is based on what I've done with my kids today. So I wanted to show you how it does work in everyday teaching situations. And what I'm also going to do now is I'm going to click on this link down the bottom. And I'm going to go through some of the information about the QR Code Generator app. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I'm just going to come off here again. Bear with me. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to share with you a different tab. Okay. There we go. So by clicking on that link, this is QR Code Generator. Now, there is a free trial you can get for this, but to actually have a premium account, it is not that expensive. Our school does have one. And if you look, there are different types of options, but you need to decide as a school whether you're going to go down this path. You'll use them quite a bit. What I'd recommend first is set yourself up with a free trial with QR Code Generator, and I'll show you the reasons why you should use this website in a minute, and have a play with it and decide whether you think it's going to work for you. So this is QR code generator. And as you can see here, this is one of the ones, this is the code that I had already embedded in the presentation. If I look at the details of this, you can see here, it comes up with flowering plant reproduction. This is what I was teaching my class today all about. And what's good about it is you can really tailor the actual QR code. So if I go into it here, you can design your QR code. You can also edit what the content you want in it. So if I go on here, this is what's pulling up at the moment. It's flowering plant reproduction. I may want to change that. And in there, when it says change, it goes right to your folders where you save all your work, and you can automatically then put in a different PDF. If you have a PowerPoint, you can save that as a PDF and it goes straight in. That's brilliant, like I said, for saving so much time and printing off loads of different resources for the kids. When they can just scan it, they've got all the information straight in front of them there. You can also customize it quite a bit. You can change the color of what you want it to look like. You can put all your different basic information in here. You can change so many different things. You can really make them bespoke. And also, the best thing about this is, like I said before, or you also want to click on link directly to the PDF, so it clicks right into it. If you change this, that QR code stays the same, but you can change the content of what's in it as well. Fantastic website. I would recommend this over any of the other websites which are out there. Why do you need to use a website? Because they're the ones that you upload, for example, your PDFs or any files on there, so the kids can have access to specific things that you want them to see. Okay, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen there. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is going to be, bear with me, how you can enhance your classroom learning. So there's loads of different types of QR codes, and there are endless ways that teachers can incorporate them into the classroom to make learning more interactive and fun. Now, that image that you can see there on the presentation is a good example, because you can add a QR code to this simple grammar quiz. If you want to set up a grammar quiz, it could be anything, to provide a more creative way to access the related tasks. If you wanted to use a QR code to share quiz solutions, you might want to use a PDF or code to create a document, or use a video QR code for a tutorial. So what you would do is you would put all your QR codes around your school, which I've done plenty of times. You get the kids to scan it. And then what you could do is, using a website like QR code generator, you could either add in sound files where they've got to work out a clue, or it could just be pictures, or it could be links to websites, and then they've got to answer them. So it's a bit like a sort of a treasure hunt, really, isn't it? Okay, and they've got to find out all the clues to get all their answers, and then it really enhances the classroom learning, makes learning really active. Kids love it and they really enjoy it. There's another way you could use that as well. And one thing as well that I was looking at before was how to make them customizable. If you look here, you can change all this information here. You can put different types of fonts on here. You can make them into italic. You can really make them and smarten up what you want your work to look like. You can customize them in so many different ways. There's loads on QR code generator. You can choose them on things like bulletin boards or even displays as well. You can put them onto individual worksheets. We've done them quite a lot, that we would have a, let me see if I can show you actually. On our objectives, we would have a QR code which links straight to work that they've done, which might be a bit more active. So if I just stop sharing this screen, so I'm going a bit back and forth here with all of this, but if I now try and show you what our objectives would look like with a QR code on, let me just see if I can find it. That's going to be tricky. Let's hope we can find it here. Okay. All right. Okay. So what I have done previously is, if I just show you this now, let me try and bring that up quickly. Okay. Okay, bear with me. Sorry about this, folks. Now let's see if I can share the screen with you so you can see. Okay. Right, so this here, I'm hoping you can see this. This is what our learning objectives look like. And as you can see here, this is one for a French lesson. Not only is the work on Google Classroom, but if they scan the code, this code links them through, or parents or whoever you come into school links them through to exactly the work that they were doing at the time. You can put this on to things like Google Classroom. You can link it through so they can see examples of the work and video recordings they've done as well. You can put that all in a big evidence bank. We use that on Google Classroom mainly, and I can talk about that in a bit more details as well, as just another way of putting your work in certain areas, especially that more practical and active learning that you may do with your students. Okay. Just back to the presentation now. And then also you have, I've already talked about this, but we call them dynamic QR codes, and it's just the ability to change the content. And what I mean by that is that once you've printed off a QR code for them to use, and you may stick it up in your classroom so that if you want your kids to just scan any research or anything that you want them to access, you don't need a new QR code every time. Just simply change the information in there and that QR code will stay the same. This is something that I do with my kids quite a lot, especially our Key Stage 1 staff who love doing this. And if they are doing a non-chronological report or they're doing an information text, they create a simple poster like this one about the ants, and then they will do 3 QR links to maybe a YouTube video. So you put the YouTube videos on there, they link them, and then they can find all the information that they want. And, you know, this is just great, easy access to videos and even different website content. You could just use a combination of QR codes and video codes, and it gives them great access to a plethora of different information. And that means they're not just stuck on having some books in front of them, which can't be books, but, you know, they've then got access to an awful lot more information as well. And then you've also got interactive displays. I know that we had a teacher recently, and what they did is they created a display, and each of these, what to know who they were, you had to go up and scan the code, and what would happen is then it would be a soundbite, and that soundbite would give information about a certain type of famous woman, and they would have to find out who they thought that person was. It was a great way. You could even do that on biographies. You get the kids to record themselves, upload the recordings, and then put them onto QR codes. There's loads of different ways you can be really creative with QR codes. And then finally, something that you can consider doing is making some of your reading books digital. We've made digital books online on Google Classroom. You can also make a book by taking pictures of the book, converting it into a PDF, which then can be put onto a code. And then you can have reading stations just by QR codes here. It could be focused on, for example, Halloween stories, which are coming up now. And the goal here was just that students could do this independently instead of needing to read with an adult all the time. They could already use tablets in the classroom, like most kids can. So it was just a perfect way to incorporate them into the lesson in a positive manner. So you could use video QR codes. You could also create your own books. You could do an MP3 so it can be read to them. So many different ways. You can be as creative as you want with them. And there's a bit of fun for parents at school as well, of course. You could get really creative here and make QR codes and integrate them into a fun event for your parents. Maybe each of these children could record an audio file about themselves, and the parents could get to know all the students and their interests. These audio files can be converted into like MP3 codes. That can be done on the QR code generator website, and you can add to each of the students maybe like a locker, or you can put it on to like a display in your classroom, in the hallways, or whatever you think. And then they can listen to the audio files automatically, or it could be even a digital poster. There's loads of different ways you can be super creative with QR codes. Okay, thank you today for listening to this CPD session on QR codes. I hope that you have taken some information away from this. Further to this, if you wish for support in regards to your EdTech requirements, please do not hesitate to contact us. We are the EdTech Demonstrator Consortium based on Hambleton Primary Academy, Ribblesdale and High Furlong. My name has been Michael Goldie. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.